Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about 5 talking points from England's loss in the World Cup final against Spain. So on Sunday, England did play at 11 in the morning against Spain in the World Cup final, and we did unfortunately lose 1-0 to a goal from Ogla. So let's talk about it pretty much. We're going to be talking about 5 things that pretty much, it wasn't the most impressive performance. However, the team did get really far. Considering we had so many injuries, we've had some outstanding performances, especially from the likes of Mary Earps, Carter, Bright, Greenwood. Our defence practically the entire tournament just played really well. So let's get straight into it. So in number 1, we've got Mary Earps played the game of her life. So for everyone that's watched it, everyone knows obviously that the goal that was scored was pretty much, Mary Earps could do absolutely nothing about it. Even with the commentator mentioning that from that strike had to be perfect to beat her. It was pretty much in the corner as best as it could be. Mary Earps could not have done it. And also she stayed a penalty that practically kept England in it for the last 25 minutes. So throughout the entire game, she'd actually played some really good long balls. Rather than wasting time and playing from the back, she wanted to get it straight up the field. I think with only one occasion it going straight out or not going to an England player. So that's not bad, considering nowadays modern football, we like to try and play with a goalkeeper that can play long balls, that can help out in the attack, rather than slowing down play and playing from the back. It also gives you less to worry about in the back as well, because obviously Spain did play really good pressing football. So it gave us a lot less worries in the back, knowing the goalkeeper would rather send it up rather than risk it a loose pass to one of their attackers. So whether it was her making crucial saves throughout the game in stoppage time, and I think in like the 3rd or 4th minute in stoppage time, Battel did have a strike that was deflected and she still got a foot to it. That would have killed it for England with it being and it had been 2-0 with 10 minutes to go and just killed it for England. She'd kept us in it though. So she'd also done very well coming out for crosses, whether it was from a corner or just from open play. She came and claimed other passes as well. So she practically kept us in the game, like the entire tournament. She kept it in from the very first game against Haiti. She practically kept us in the entire tournament throughout. So in number 2, we've got Spain just played our game better than us. So the one thing that we have been praised about this entire World Cup, the England team, is how well they press. Because by pressing, you can cause either loose passes, mistakes from the back, and it's worked for us throughout this tournament, and we have been praised for it. However, I think this time Spain just played it really better. They weren't just pressing the defence. They weren't just trying to force an error. They were literally pressing every player that had the ball. 2 or 3 Spanish players attacked them straight away, which ultimately basically caused us so much havoc throughout the entire attack and midfield. I think it was midfield personally that got the worst blunt end of it. They didn't really close down our defenders as much as we did, as much as England have throughout the entire tournament. Spain more or less went for whoever's going to play it up, they attack them more rather than going for the centre backs. So the likes of Kale Walsh was just attacked straight away. The likes of Stanway were also attacked, and Elatoon. They were the ones that basically got the worst end of it. So pretty much the one thing that we've been praised about, they practically played us better than anything else. I think that was they just played a very simple style of football, didn't complicate it, and it ended up working out for them. 3, we do have being brave did cost us too early on in the final. Now this is something that will be very controversial, as I've experienced already through group chats. I think the one thing that in a final, you always have to play brave. You have to do things that can cut your opponent open, because it's not often you come against an easy opponent in a final. And I do believe that in this final, we just tried doing things too early on that cost us. My biggest one was Lucy Bronze going from right back position all the way up to the centre circle, which then before she was able to pass it, she was closed down, and then that entire right hand side of our defence was open, which is where they ended up scoring. By the time the long ball was played out to the left hand side of Spain's attack, there was already 2 or 3 players on Carter, and she just couldn't deal with it. which you don't expect a defender to be able to deal with all three attackers at once. That's where Spain's goal came from. That's one big mistake that we made, trying to be brave too early on, which ended up costing us. A strike in the first half ended up pretty much just putting us on the back foot the entire game. But before that, England were playing very well. It was just once that goal went in, we were just on the back foot and we just struggled to come back from it. So yeah, I think playing brave too early when we didn't exactly desperately need a goal ended up costing us in the long run, and I think Bronze will know that. So I wouldn't throw too much shade on her about it. However, it was one thing that ended up costing us the final. Not the only thing, but one of the major ones. In number 4, we're going to have that our passing became dreadful in the second half. So with Spain playing very, very simple football, where it was just a case of where they saw the ball, they closed down that area, they played it very well, but slow passing gave them countless opportunities to practically run the ball down, just get it, retain possession. We struggled to retain possession and stretch out Spain's whole entire defence and midfield, which I think costed us attacking wise, because we didn't have a lot of space then to attack in, because we were struggling to hold on to the ball because of how quick Spain were, but also because we were countlessly leaving loose passes, or we'd try daft passes into open areas where there was just a crowd of Spanish players. I think in the first half it wasn't too bad, but in the second half it definitely showed who the better passing team was. You know, you could see Spain were passing it like in triangles around all of our players really well, and it just showed that I think our passing did let us down a bit in that final. In number 5, in our final point of the day, I'm going to mention the fact that I believe that it seemed our players panicked in that second half. They seemed too desperate. There was no one playing the calm game. It was mostly just they panicked a bit too much when it came to playing. And I think the few more important things to talk about was because we were rushing play a bit. Our players were rushing a bit too much to get the ball upfield without thinking about, once you get it upfield, have you got the players to support the attackers? Have you got the space to actually attack, or are you just trying to play it up to a player just to try and get it up there and create something out of nothing? And we struggled because obviously, due to the fact that, like I said in point number 4, our passing was very slow in certain parts. It gave Spain too much time to either close down the ball or to get back into position. So I think we panicked a little bit and tried rushing the ball without actually thinking who we got up there, because we had practically 2 attackers, because our midfield struggled to help out in the attack, so we practically had Russo and Hemp trying to fight against 4 or 5 defenders, because Spain were just always in a very good position. They were hardly opened up. We had some half chances, but we'd never been able to create a big full chance that should have been taken. Passes were also seeming to be made to players with limited space, rather than taken out to the wings and have 2 players out on either wing. When Kelly came on, she seemed to have the best touch on the field, as some people will know if you've watched it, if you kept a close eye on her touches, and that chance she created for Hemp, which was very, very well defended. But after that one cross, it seemed to be that no one wanted to pass to her, or no one wanted to pass out to the wing. Obviously, James on the left hand, she played the left wing back position, and rather than trying to cross it, she wanted to cut in field and try and create something, which you can't blame her, because it's why she's so good. But we had Chloe Kelly constantly in so much space on the right hand side, and no one was passing to her. But you know, all it takes is for one good cross, and England would be back in the final at the moment. But I think that was our downside, was passes were rushed and the wrong passes were being made. Passes to players that were in very limited space were made, and then because they were in limited space or they were surrounded, the ball would just be taken off them, and then Spain would retain possession. So yeah, we panicked a little without thinking where's the ball going to end up, and that was one of our, I think, worst parts of the second half to watch. I think the final thing to mention was because the players started to panic and lose, they felt like the game was slipping away from them. I think not only were the wrong passes, but daft passes started to get made. You saw players lobbing the ball into a crowd of Spanish players, and you saw them passing into open space where there was no one there, or you just saw a pass that that kept getting cut out. That happened quite often. I think ultimately that's why we lost. I think once that first goal went in from an England mistake, we just struggled to get back into the game because Spain then knew that all they've got to do is keep the possession, and they kept it very well in England's half. Once they kept in that half, we were as long as we didn't take it off them, they knew they were safe, they were secure as long as they had 5 players back, which they pretty much constantly did. Although we've been praised throughout the tournament for having our defenders help out, it was always in appropriate situations. It was never a case of a player running to 5 of them. We saw it quite often when Millie Bright would run upfield, but never would she run into a crowd of players. She'd always play it smart. If there was too many players, she'd pass it and then move back into position. Whereas we saw the likes of Daly and Bronze were just constantly out of position. And although we played a back three so that them two could play more attacking football, I think when you've got so many players around you, you shouldn't be playing that attacking. And I think that was pretty much one of our biggest downfalls, was we just constantly looked out of shape, and the commentators mentioned it must have been once every 5 or 10 minutes that how England were just constantly out of shape. It seemed every counter-attack Spain had, it seemed like it could have been a goal, whereas ours didn't seem as dangerous. I think one of the final points to talk about is we played an unchanged 11. I feel like we played into Spain's hands there because they will have just planned for that 11, which practically played the entire tournament. Because there's been no changes apart from Lauren James had started one of the games, and I think he'd started one of the games. Katie Zellam started one of the games. So they will have known that we probably weren't going to switch it up, and that's how we probably played into their hands. I think Hemp had a good game. I think she looked very lively. I think she had the better chances out of everyone in England's squad. Russo was very lacklustre. She wasn't running as much, whereas Hemp was just all over the place. She was just running back and forward. Russo, though, I do have to give credit for, did run back to try and defend for that Spain goal. You could see her right behind the player, she tried filling in for Lucy Bronze. I do want to say, I said I think after the 3rd game, I think that Greenwood should have been our player of the tournament. I still stick by that. It's got to be either one of the 3 defenders, being Carter, Bronze, or Greenwood, and Hemp. Not Hemp. Actually, Hemp probably should be up there. She played a very good last few games. But also Mary Earps. You know, after the whole Nike thing about her not getting, people couldn't buy her shirt, and having to deal with that, only to then come out of the final being Golden Glove winner. It's a big thing, innit? Anyways, guys, if you like this video, I know I've not made one in a while. I have been on holiday. I have been up to stuff. I do work full time, so we don't exactly get the best chances in the world to make videos. But anyway, I did want to make a video on that final. England did get somewhere that they've not been in 1966. Which is an absolute amazing achievement, and let's hope for something better in the Nations League. I'll see you all there.